Hi, thanks guys for joining our YouTube channel again. And of course, anytime you have any different topics you want us to discuss, please let us know. Today's topic is about the difference between static stretching and dynamic stretching. Researcher that came out recently who said that, well, maybe we somewhat have jumped into a conclusion that static stretching is not important. Well, it is just as important, and to me static stretches is even more important than the dynamic stretches. Now, the controversy was with regard to, with athletes when they are actually performing, that when they're doing more static stretches prior to the activities, that they lost some strength because of the elasticity that's given to the muscles, ligaments, and tendons with regard to the stretching under a static premise that then decreases the strength when they're about to perform. And again, it's so minimal that it is not really that big of a deal. To me, I'd rather people have or do static stretches to get the most out of it with regard to injuries prevention wise, and also to get more flexibility, hence leading to less injuries too, rather than just trying to have another 3 or 5% strength, which most of the time when we're performing, we're not going to be exerting 100% most of the time. You're only doing at 80 or 90% most of the time under a controlled chaos environment. So with that, I want to put that to rest. Should you or should you not do static stretching? I think it's just as important to do static as it is to do the dynamic stretches. Now, with that in mind, let's go to the static stretches and why it is important. Now, the reason to me it's important because when we deal with injuries with our patients around here, we know for the fact that you guys or patients that are hurt or who are injured are not flexible enough. Okay, and when you're doing dynamic stretches, you do not get to become more flexible, because most of the time the dynamic stretches, people are only putting their body into mostly a moderate stretch, and they're not getting really to the end range of stretching. Unlike when you're doing static stretches, you really are bringing it into the end range, really holding it there longer. You really are getting or emphasizing the stretching of the ligaments, tendons, and muscles much more acutely, and in a more not only specific but is much more thorough way of stretching your soft tissue. So, with that said, that's how you're going to prevent against injuries. Now again, when you're warming up, of course, you still want to go through the motion. You're doing all your dynamic stretches with those guys and gals out there who are sports oriented, who are playing sports. So again, going back to the static stretches, I want you guys to be holding it for about 30 seconds or so, or a minute. Again, that's the same premise that people who do yoga. Yoga is designed to hold a certain posture. Not only does it emphasize the isometric aspect of it, but also it emphasizes the flexibility aspect of it. So that is my take on the difference between the static and dynamic, and why static is still and should be the forefront of your stretching regimen. So if you guys have any question about that, I'll be more than glad to have any inputs from the opposite side too. We always like to discuss about this stuff, because the way I look at it, the more that we discuss about the different alternatives out there and the way that different people think, it's only going to help you guys to become a better athletes, and also become much more efficient at taking care of your bodies on a soft tissue to a structural aspect of it with regards to joints. So thanks for joining us again, and please subscribe and stay tuned for more topics that we can discuss on.